Pleasant good afternoon to you students. Pleasant good afternoon, one and all. Welcome to the Friday afternoon's edition of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today is Friday, the 27th day of June, 2025. Welcome, welcome, one and all. Good to see this many students in the schoolyard. And again, we have so much to tell you. Sit back, relax. Some of you might be in some Friday afternoon, so you public servants are off work by now. Sit in some bar, driving the car, going home. I understand even in the minibuses, people turn up and turn on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have so much to tell you, and we are going to be with it in a short while. You know, today, Friday, another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is a blessing to be in the land of the living. I wonder, just in case you think I sound like a preacher, I am not the ranting, while they're running there. Well, he's not a preacher, blasted hypocrite, running around the place and making a lot of noise and so on. So we are not that type. We're going to come here and we're going to bring you credible, valuable information. My colleague, CC, is in the studio, rearing and ready to go. And after we do the formalities, just gives people time to come in. We have up to over 400. And we are going to be with you. Sit back, relax, take out your beer, take out your cokes, as they would say. Take out your little marby, whatever you use to use at this time. Don't take out any illicit drugs, though. We're not encouraging that. We're not encouraging that. Right? So take out your little thing, take out your little tubes, and make sure that you are with us, and we're going to bring you the information. Let me run the roll call. We schedule at 4. As I told you, school gates were open at 4. I said 4, at 1. I get like them, making us at, well, them not make mistake. I made a mistake, but them just said no. They just dunce, right? And we are going to be with you in a short while. In terms of the roll call, 1 o'clock, the gates were open, and we had Peter as the first student. Well, you know, as I would tell you, many students will come at the same time, but this is how they are listed, right? Then we had Jacko from Georgia, Tessa from Florida, Sean, upstate man, Carl, Aubrey, Gibbo, then it was Paulette, Carol, Ricky Smith is here, Kenneth, from Maryland, Carrie-Ann from the east coast of Demerara, Felicia, Ivan, Danny is here with us. Then we had Paulette came in shortly after, right? And the students, Esla, Wayne from the UK, then it was Trotty, Rawl, Roxanne, Simo from Texas. Simo, hope you're enjoying the cricket, but you gotta get good art for this cricket what's going on. They might get butter in their hand, buddy. Paulette, the back, Brennan, Bonita, Father Masha, Floyd, Dexter. Then it was, after Dexter, it was the Angel was here. Pastor Smith, Morton, Barbara, Salima, Terence from Canada, Pauline, Pinky, Cecile, Annette, Anthony, Peter Zolman, Hanka Paul, Denise, and this is Denise from Florida, Pito from Queens, Lucius, Maryland and Guyana, Wayne, Mary, Ashley, Joseph, Pamela, Lorraine, this is Lorraine Hall, Mike, David, Como, 8218, Como is here, Ezzy, Joyce, Harold, Denzel, Colin, 8941, Leon is the next Arlene. The two Arlenes came in one after the other, Colin and Leon. Smitty is here, Vibert, Dennis, then it was Gordon. After Gordon, Aileen too, you squeezing against the cricket. These are diehard cricket fans. So I know y'all gotta be squeezing. But let me tell you up front, 300 runs is enough runs to make. Sharon from the UK, Evelyn, Desiree, Rosalind, Derek, Moses, Kevin, Princess Earl, Lamar Springs, True Guyanese, Benjamin. We need more True Guyanese, you know. Benjamin is here from Iconi, Marva, Henrik, Vaughn, Bray, Umi, John, Allison, Russ Levi is here with us. Then it was Steve Clifton from Paris. Clay, Siobhan, Courtney, Rhonda still on vacation in the Antigua. Patricia, Brennan again, Brian, Fergus, Sean, Orin from the UK, Ivor. Then it was Philip, Lorraine, Jackie from Maryland is here, Aubrey, Cecile, good to see you, man. You're regular in the class now. Cecile Semple, Vibert, Sharon, Alex, Diane, Malcolm. Then it was Abira. Then look, Alex came back. He gotta be perhaps a young student. He wants to know. He wants somebody to tell him about the Jackie Opel reference. You got to be a youngster not to know what the Jackie Opel reference is. Well, let me tell you, Jackie Opel was a singer, and he had a very famous song named "You Got to Pay." You got to pay. So when you hear reference is made to Jackie Opel, is when people got to pay. The part of the chorus of the song says, "You got to pay, you got to pay, So when you see the corruption, the pain is Jackie Opel they're dealing with. So I hope that is education for you. Abera, Terrence, Boo is here, Marcus, Karen, Lyndon, Sad Things, Patricia, Dionarine, Roy from upstate, Terrence, and Rhonda. Ulrich, where's them, man? Ulrich coming to class late because he would have been glued to the, he was coming to the schoolyard late because he would have been glued to the TV watching the cricket. Francis Keith from Melanie, Sydney, Mark, Malcolm, Rena, Dexter, Carlisle, always good to see Carlisle here, my brother. Christy Jack, Kerry, Kurt, Paul, Malvok, Ope, Magnell, Doreen, my squad mate, Richard, George, Michael from Imbai Lorraine, and this is Lorraine Brandt. Then we have followed by Lorraine Earl. The two Lorraines came in almost the same time. Compton, Hazel, Diane, Gavin, Ralph, Gail, Elroy, Nello is here, Delvern, Tilula, Rastaman, Nicola, Glendis, Jormin, Barbara, Vivian, Mark, Marvin is here, Claude, Troy, Roderick, all these people in Friday afternoon, man. Lennox, Corinne, Paulette, Gloria, Ivor, Simone. Then it was Uvarni, Winston, Denise, the original black man is with us, Michael, like Michael Mars, followed by Michael Khan, Beverly, and then it was Junior. After Junior, it is Marcus, Lolita, Brenda, O'Neill, Maureen, Phil, Reggie is here, Paulette, Shemlin, Joseph, Delan, Kwame, Isabella, Roy is the last man. I think it is, yes, Roy was the last man in the schoolyard. Then we had Joan from New Amsterdam. Then we had Umur, Vanessa, and then Rhonda came back, Denise came back, and Mario, and the list goes on and on and on. The list goes on, John, and the list goes on. So yes, welcome to this Friday afternoon's edition of Speaking Out. We got a lot to tell you going into the weekend. You have a lot of things to think about going into the weekend. Going into the weekend. Now for the announcements, you know, we normally start with the sad ones first. We told you a few programs ago about the death of retired Detective Assistant Superintendent Victor Sandy. That's a reminder that he was buried on Sunday, that Sunday the 29th, viewing at Jerrick's Funeral Home from Paradise East Coast Demerara 11:30 to 12:30. Further viewing at his residence, Golden Grove, from 12:45 to 1:45. Funeral service at the Victory Assembly of God Church, Golden Grove, and that's from 2 o'clock. And he will be buried at the Golden Grove Cemetery. That's Victor Sandy. For those people who are there and want to go, those are the details. And then we had the death of police assistant superintendent, right? Earl McGarrell. Earl McGarrell died, I think it was yesterday, word came that he died. I'm gonna say something about him in a while once I finish with the introduction. And then we also had today word that the Complaints Authority, retired Justice William Ramlal, died this morning. William died this morning. I got the news. And, a few weeks ago, I was inquiring about him. We had a very good relationship. And I was told that he wasn't doing too well. And I had planned to visit him, but didn't get to do that. So William Ramlal passed this morning. And, of course, in terms of fatal accident, another fatal accident. We were here on Wednesday. Between Wednesday and today, another motorcyclist killed somebody at Crane. And for the one where they say get Godi, as Ghanaians say, Crane, as far as I remember, Crane is West Coast Demerara. Already correct me if I'm wrong, man. The man said West Bank. They got a Crane at West Bank too. I don't know that they have a Crane at West Bank. He might be correct, but I know Crane by the Crane, we all know Crane, the West Coast them. So yeah, those forces have died. I want to express condolences to the relatives, friends of those forces, for the ranks at the Police Immigration Department. Condolences, special condolences to the Deputy Chief Immigration Officer and the ranks at Immigration. I'll bring in CC and then I'm going to come back to speak something more about Ramlal, Mr. Ramlal, and the officers. CC, welcome, my brother.
Thank you, and happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. My sympathy goes out to the members of the Immigration Department for the death of that young ASP, and also Justice Ramlal. I know him well. I contacted him several times in terms of legal issues for advice. For the matter, he's in my countryman. He's from a village called Kingilly on the West Coast Borbies. And I live a couple of villages away. Kingilly, you get Brown, you get Ross, you get Yeovil, you get Chester, you get Britannia. And some people just make it a joke and say Kingilly, Brown, Chester, Ross, But I remember his father was a headmaster. And his sister, I think, was Sita Ramla, So I know him well. May his soul rest in peace.
Yeah, well, he has. I know it's a large family, Ramlal family, a lot of brothers and sisters. And let me tell you something first about the late Justice Ramlal. I learned so much from him. Learned so much. I see Ulrich, who is on the program here now, made a comment on a post I think I made about how Ramlal clean up the minibus lawlessness on the West Coast. He was transferred to West Demerara in D Division, as it was known then, in 1993, when there's a young superintendent. And, there was some controversy surrounding my going there. But once I settled in, I became the commander. And Mr. Ramlal was the magistrate at Lenora. I think he presided at Lenora and Wales. And I would go to him and get guidance and advice, because I was a young commander. Sit down with the magistrate, get guidance and advice. And I can tell you, Ulrich was there. Look, let me tell you something. We brought order to the road on West Demerara. Order to the road. Around that 1993, 94. People who worked in that area, policemen, Ulrich was one of them working there, would tell you. And he commented on it on social media. Benny men became afraid of Ramlal. The next thing, those people, domestic violence. You got in front of Ramlal with domestic violence, his remand and all of that. He was very, very stern as a magistrate. And people at West Demerara were afraid to break the law. I got a particular fun case. Got to use some diplomacy in talking about it. So we had a good relationship. And I was there as a commander. And I lived in Georgetown and West Demerara, the commander's quarters. They called me a night to tell me there was a breakage at a particular place. And there was a man in the area who was known to be, as we say, named as a receiver. He was known to be a receiver. A receiver is a person who collects or receives stolen property. The police called me and reported that they went to this receiver place and found the stolen items. So I said, good, I complimented them, good police work and so on. That's the night they reported to me. The next morning when I went to office and the report came, the report changed. The report changed. The report was no longer that the items were found at the home of the receiver. The report now was that the police or the receiver called the police and told them that there was some suspected item at an empty yard nearby. That is what these people are telling me. You see, these young commanders, they don't understand. And I say, hey, let me tell you something. I go in by the first story that these items were received at this man's residence. I go in by that. And I had a discussion with the magistrate, Ramlal, the late Ram. I had a discussion with him. And we took a certain course of action. And the man was able to tell us all who collect and all who draw. Some of them run how they work. I remember that well. One man in particular, I remember Chuck and how they work. We had that type of relationship. When I was commander in Borbis, he was a judge there during a period. We had a particular matter where a man who was a licensed firearm holder for a pistol and a rifle. He was an old police, old 70-something police, Indian man, right? He lodged his rifle at Central Police Station and he kept his pistol. He went to an outside thing somewhere at number 2. Now, you're number 2 just over the bridge. And he dropped asleep. He had little fun and he dropped asleep. And when he woke up, the pistol disappeared. Somebody belonging to this woman carried away the gun. Well, you know, again, we put up report, thing went to the DPP. This same DPP instructed that both firearms should be, the license for both firearms should be revoked. And I proceeded to do that. Right? And the man challenged it. And Ramlal was the judge. And he called me to his office. And he told me, he said, Paul, he used to call me before, say, Paul, this whole process y'all did wrong. Can't just take away a man gun like that. Right? First of all, there was no justification for taking away the rifle, license for the rifle. And he explained to me the law. And out of that, I was able to, with his assistance, to draft a procedure for revoking firearm license. Right? I drafted a procedure which became standard during my term in the force. Right? And it required for the police to listen, you have to ask the person to show cause formally. You have to write the person, ask them to show cause. If it is that they committed a particular act and say, having regards to this, you should show cause why the license in respect to this particular firearm should not be revoked. Yeah, Ramlal advised me that. And he assisted me in drafting the thing. And then when you served the letter name, then he told me something again for the commanders who are here. You don't ask the person to show cause by a particular date. Ask them to show cause. Leave it open-ended. He said, especially if you have the rifle or the firearm in the possession of the police, there's no ace. It's there. I said, anytime you put a date to show cause by this date, the people can argue that you are predisposed to revoking the firearm. You see, these are the things that these young officers don't know. They don't know. Right? They don't know. So don't put no date, show cause. And the longer the take to show cause is the better. Because remember, the firearm is with you, the police. Then when time passes and you believe it's time for revoke, when you are revoking, you must state the reason why it has been revoked. You must state that this is the reason why this firearm license is being revoked. And then you have to tell them, because this is the law, right? You can appeal by way of petition to the president, whose decision shall be final. I think 1605 is the firearm. It is there. It is there. It has to be. That's the way Mr. Ramlal taught me that. And there's a landmark case with Justice Ramlal when the police harassed and arrested Navindra Singh, who's now an appeal court judge. You must read them thing, police. They harass him, stop him somewhere in tongue. Then the next thing you know, one big confrontation. They carry the lucky of the sort he carried and all this everything. He took them to court. That is the same judge now, Navendra Singh. Took them to court. Ramlal was the judge and did done a landmark decision. Right? Police powers in respect to those things. But those things are not being taught now to the police. So they're still going around harassing and arresting people. So that's Ramlal. Let me tell you all something about Magarel. I always complimented the immigration rank. Not because of get any Sean tell me West Indies 49 for 3. Why were you spoiling this program this afternoon for? Tell you all this match got done tomorrow. Six can get 300 runs in the 14 innings. Well, they can, but I don't think they will. Right, going back to the thing. The immigration people are always very professional. Now, once I was charged, and I'm going to tell you all about that a little later, I charged 3 counts of sexual assault, 1 count of, one charge, conspiracy to commit fraud. That is since 2021, October, charges read. I had the suspicion, I know them well, I know these jagabats, that, because I traveled frequently, I was working outside the country, outside of Guyana and that if I attempted to leave, they were going to try to prevent me. I had that suspicion. I know them. So I went to my lawyer, had a discussion with my lawyer, Mr. Hughes, and I said, Counsel, I have a feeling that these people want to stop me from going out the country. And therefore, I am suggesting that we move to the High Court to get an order to allow me to travel. He agreed with me. We moved to the High Court, Madam Roxanne George. Nandalal, the Attorney General, appeared in person, virtually, but he appeared to represent the state to say I should not be allowed to travel, even though we were able to present my contract to them to show that I had obligations outside. Nandalal said, no, I shouldn't travel. The Chief Justice ruled that I should travel, put some restrictions. I had to come back by a particular time. I had to lodge transport. I left. That was in December of 2021, and I returned as directed by the court. A second time, I had to leave again to go and work. This time, the matter came up before Justice Navendra Singh. Again, the Attorney General's chamber objected. Right? Justice Navendra Singh gave me permission to travel. Again, I had to come back by a particular time. I'm going through this thing to understand the harassment that they put me through, but they can't break me. I had to go back a third time. And the third time, Justice Navendra Singh again was the judge. And on the third occasion, they did not object to me traveling out of the country. I had to wait until I received the order from the court, because the judge had said to come back by a particular time. But when the order was written, I received the written order, it was open-ended. I still have it, permission for you to travel, to leave the jurisdiction. Good. I left, come back, left and travel. They were asking me one time. About sometime last year, I think it was, I was leaving again with my wife. And the immigration people asked me, if they look in the computer, asked me if I'm obligated to the government. I said, no, I'm not obligated to the government. Why? Obviously, something in the system. They saw something in the system. Then they called a supervisor. The supervisor came, a female, and asked me if I got permission to leave the country. So I said, well, I don't need permission to leave the country, because by then the same Justice Navendra Singh had ruled that if a person is charged, the police cannot stop you from leaving the country. If they want you to prevent it, they have to go to the court, and the court has to issue an order. So I said, well, why I got to present an order? Is you all got to get an order from the court to prevent me. At which stage, they called Magarel. That is what ability of what they call Magarel. He came very, very professional, very apologetic. Listen, I think he was inspector or sergeant. So why do I need to get permission to leave? Basically, he didn't tell me, but he thinking, kind up on the phone, he get instructions from them, wherever he gets instruction from, not to allow me to leave. And let me make this plain. Had I been traveling alone, I would have challenged them. either want to stop me, let them stop me, and I would have taken them to court. Because even by that time, they had already been the ruling with David Patterson, where they stopped David Patterson and then the state had to pay money, right? Man, look, y'all please don't continue to tell me the score. 49 for 4, y'all distracted me, man. I tell y'all the game got done quick, right? The game is going to finish quick. Yeah, so by which time David Patterson, judge, has issued order that they can't stop you. And he came, McGarrell, very professional, very apologetic. He asked me if I said, by this order, so you're supposed to get the order in the system. I presented it to you all a long time now. I don't have a hard copy. Yes, here. Because of you and the way you approach me, I'm going to check my computer because I believe it's there in the computer. He brought a chair, 2 chairs, one for me and one for my wife to sit. And I took a lot of time to go through the thing. Eventually I found it. They delayed me there for about an hour, for about an whole hour. And then I found it, I called him and said, look, the order from the court here. He made some notes and so on. And he was very, very professional. So I was saddened yesterday when I heard of his passing. And again, I say to the relatives of McGarrell and Justice retired Ramlal, my deepest condolences to you all. But let me say this. Let me say this. Aziz, a lawyer with an association of GCOM, right on the social media, that the chairman of the Police Complaints Authority passed. There's no chairman of the Police Complaints Authority. Check the law, Chapter 1702, Police Complaints Authority Act. There's a complaints authority. There's no chairman of the complaints authority. There's no chairman. Ramlal was the Police Complaints Authority. And in discussions with him over the years, he used to point that out. He said, can't understand how previous people used to accept this thing as chairman. There's no provision in the law for chairman of the Police Office Commission. He said it would be the Complaints Authority, not Service Commission, the Complaints Authority, right? Complaints Authority. So there's a little background into that. Let me bring Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move on. CC, welcome again. I'm sure you want to say something based on what I've said.
Yeah, and I can remember those 2 landmark cases, the one where you had seized the firearm from the guy and revoke on the instructions of the advice of the DPP, and the one where they had arrested the person. I remember they tell you that in terms of the arrest, that there must be a reasonable suspicion, and the suspicion must precede the arrest. It's a wonderful case, and I think that the police should really look into it, and discuss it widely forthright, because a lot of things that they're doing, they're making illegal arrest, illegal detention. But I remember Ramlal was very sound in his judgment, and McGarrell too. He was a wonderful person. I had a lot of dealings to do. I had a lot of dealings with him during in the training and environment, and he was very respectful. I did call the Deputy Chief Immigration Officer this morning and express my sympathy for the passing of his rank. But, and as you rightly said, it's not the chairman, it's the Police Complaints Authority. But a lot of people say chairman and chairman and chairman. There's no chairman, and it's a one-man show. Is the Police Complaints Authority, and he's had some investigators and other person to assist him in his job.
Yeah, another case, when he was at while he was there, the Complaints Authority, there's a case at police station where a man died in the lockups. Paul know the case, he was the commander then. And Ramlal, Police Complaints Authority, supervised the investigation, right? And in the report, I have a copy of the report somewhere, where that Ramlal sent to the president. The man made some scathing remarks about the current commissioner, about his incompetence and so on in that report. Because Iken's involvement was that a recommendation was made for disciplinary action to be taken against a lot of persons, including the commander at the time, Parshram. I was at the Police Office Commission then, and Iken was deputed to conduct the investigation. and submit a report. The report that came, I read it, and I knew that he can't write down some of the words and things used. He gets somebody therapy, but the person not having the knowledge and so I write a lot of stupidness, use a lot of term out of context and all this everything. So me, I forwarded the report to the Complaints Authority, Ramlal. When he saw it, he hit the roof, he called me, what nonsense it? I said, well, that is what the person write. And he sent it to the president because at that stage, formally, the Police Complaints Authority came under the Ministry of Home Affairs. The Minister of Home Affairs was responsible. Then around 3-4 years ago, perhaps even a little longer than that, it was moved and it is directly under the president. So he said, well, send it to your boss. And it was sent. So they saw the incompetence. And there, Ramlal never used to hold back, you know. Ramlal never used to hold back. In this matter I'm telling you about, when you see the report, Ramlal recommended action be taken against the magistrate. Because the magistrate had issued some warrant to the arrest of the same man who eventually died. Lal Bachana, I think the man name in the lockup. Police woman Milo got charged with manslaughter over the same matter because the man died in the lockup. She was working in the inquiry's office, and our evidence was that nobody went into the lockup, which was a lie. But she had the experience. Nobody went into the lockup. So Ramlal, they had blood stain and they had evidence that the man was beaten in the lockup. So if nobody went into the lockup and you were the sole custodians of the keys and all that, it got to be you end up getting charged with manslaughter. Me, I know what happened to the matter. I don't know. So Ramlal never used to make mince matters, you know. Never used to mince matters. But let me move on. Birthday greetings today. Aubrey, one of the students, one of the diehard students, Aubrey Lawson. Today is his natal day. Old, detective. I don't like to use old because a former detective in the force. Aubrey is celebrating his birthday today. And we have a belated birthday greetings to the muscle man, Hugh Ross. You know, he wasn't the police, he was in the army. Mr. Universe and over this age. And man with all sorts of muscles, man. Man got muscles all in his jaw. He must get muscles all in his teeth. Real muscle man. He celebrated or he observed the natal day yesterday. And I want to give advance birthday greetings to two persons. One, a former member who is normally on this live. I don't know if he's here now. Colin Stanford, old TSU man, 11879, I think his number was. He celebrates in the next couple of days. And Superintendent John Barker, he is also celebrating shortly too. So I want to wish those guys all the best on your natal day. And John, hang in there, man, hang in. I know it's also other trials and tribulations, but hang in there. God is in charge. God is in charge and all will be well. See anything on the board is? No, you're muted. I think you're muted. We can't hear you. Let me take out CC and we're gonna get an opportunity to come back. Now talking about the cricket, oh Lord, y'all tell me. I wanted to tell y'all that 300 runs in the 4th innings. The West Indies being so inconsistent. That is a tough ask. 300 runs. Today is what the 3rd day, so you get the rest of today and 2 days. Game done tomorrow. And having said that, cricketers Ulrich, Aileen, umpire, Jacko, and all these guys. I hope you all observe. There's I think it came out this morning. There are some changes to the rules, cricket rules. They got some changes. I don't fully understand some of the changes, but the one that I saw, one of them that I saw that baffling me, is this timer that they're introducing. I understand what they're saying. The timer, meaning they're saying that the end of any over, they will put a countdown clock or something like that. And you have to start the next over within 1 minute, or else you are going to be, the team is going to be penalized. Now, the thing with that and me, test matches are scheduled for 5 days. We know that. 5-day test. Us the purists, that is what we love, test match cricket. Not no T20 and one. We love test matches, see all the strategies and all of that out unfolding. Now, test matches hardly last 25 days. It hardly lasts 5 days, 3.5, 4 days, sometimes, even if it goes into the 5th day, like the one against England with England and India recently, going to a thrilling game. Now, the question is, what is the motivation for trying to speed up the game? Because they say, if you're going to put on the timer, you want to make sure the next over starts within a minute. In other words, you're moving the game along. So one can then expect, if you're going at a faster rate in terms of the pace of play, then matches are going to finish even faster. That is only my thinking. I haven't gone into it yet in any detail. I see they're talking about the DRS, some reviewing the DRS. For you who are not cricketers, that's the decision review system where the umpire comes in, the third umpire, and also boundary catches. They got some changes, saliva and ball. I was going through it this morning. And talking about the DRS, before bringing CC, talking about the DRS. We have seen during this test match, West Indies versus Australia, some atrocious decisions by the third umpire. And I've always said, and I maintain, a third umpire should not make mistakes because you have technology at your disposal. You have technology at your disposal. You know, you students are not very attentive and you're not very obedient to them. I tell you, don't distract me with the score. I'm going to just put up and set the score down 56-5. Like you can done this afternoon. Like it's going to finish this afternoon. Yeah, but that's just a side. The decisions from this umpire, Adrian Allstock from South Africa, something is wrong with him. And I want to ask a question. How he is still on the panel and Joel Wilson, the West Indian, is no longer there. And yeah, Joel, all of them make mistakes, but it was generally felt that Joel Wilson from Trinidad, West Indies, was one of the better third umpires with the DRS system. He was very, very efficient in doing that. But then Joel is no longer on the panel, right? But all stuck. And we saw what happened over the couple of days. The catch with Sheo, clearly the ball, part of the ball in the ground. There was no doubt about that. The chat with the captain, Ruston Chase, the Ruston Chase, clearly there was the ball deviated from the bat onto the pad. A lot of ridiculous decisions. A lot of ridiculous. And I'm saying again that the third umpire, I could forgive the umpires on field for coming up with a decision and it proven to be wrong. But when you sit down there with all the technology at your disposal for rock and roll, for zoom in, how are you making mistake at them thing, man? How are you making these type of glaring mistakes? When you hear a man like Ian Bishop, who is one of the calmest of the commentators, making a comment that he didn't agree with the umpire. You know, because Bishop and them chaps are very diplomatic. They don't bring emotions into things, very professional. But Bishop said so. But that's what we have. So, cricket fans, bear your chief, man. Bear your chief. Yeah, bear your chief. Yeah, CC, go ahead. Now we're still in hearing you. You're still in hearing you. You're still in hearing you. So, I see you mute you. I mean, go now. I unmuted you.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
I agree with you, that the technology is there and we shouldn't get any mistakes from any third umpire. No way, the technology there. And those mistakes were so glaring yesterday, so glaring yesterday, That, and then things like those, some action should be taken against that third umpire. Technology there, use it, go over it over and over again till you get it right. Till you get it right. Too many mistakes, And then looking at this match, perhaps maybe they might finish today, It might finish today, Paul.
Yeah, and you say there should be penalty. I agree, something, but then, the coach of the West Indies team, Darren Sammy, made a statement actually criticizing the umpire because Darren said when they were in England recently for the one-day series, he made some the same umpire. But let me tell you this, trust me, I know the thing works. You're gonna hear that they're gonna sanction Darren Sammy, the coach, for making such a statement. Sammy is going to be sanctioned for making, they'll call it a violation of the code of conduct for making public such a statement about a criticism, basically, of the umpire. That is what it is. That is what it is. But we still like the game. We still like the game. We still love the test match format. Now let me come to one of the main issues, as I indicated to y'all. Yesterday, I had a date with the court. If you recall, for those of you who knew, this is something I've never hidden, and I would never hide it. I said earlier, in 2021, October, I was charged 4 charges. 3 counts of sexual assault, 1 count of conspiracy to commit fraud, along with Conway and others, right? Now, the matter has been going through the court all the time. And what is the allegation? I'm gonna tell you what the allegation, right? I'm gonna tell you all. And again, let me start off by saying, I know they listen. I want to listen, and they're sitting back there for wait to hear me say something that I believe is inappropriate to charge me again. But let me tell you something. Y'all ain't deterring me. I will say what I believe are the appropriate things to say. Right? So the charges were there. The charges dragging through. Eventually, the trial started some months ago. The prosecutor called 4 witnesses. The person who made the complaint, a policewoman, said basically that we were all at a meeting, Conway all of we at a meeting, and during the course of a meeting, I put me up on she leg and I rubbed she leg. 3 separate occasions, 3 separate days, 3 separate occasions. That is what the allegation is. Right? That is what the allegation. Lie. Anyhow, trial start. Before the trial ended, the prosecutor, the police prosecutor, Mandel Moore, say Mandel Moore. I don't know if you all know him, but you must take a look at him. Mandel Moore, right? He told the court that, well, before I go there to say, once these matters, statements are served. So all the statements that the prosecutor intends to use, they are served on us. So we have all the statements. I have all the statements. Surprisingly, one day, he indicated to the magistrate that there are 3 witnesses that he does not intend to call any longer. 3 witnesses who had given statements in the matter. When I and my lawyers perused the statements, we discovered that those 3 statements were statements that can be considered favorable to me, right? Statements, so you have called those witnesses. And I mean, CC, and you have some old prosecutors here, Ulrich and all them things. I learned as a prosecutor, when I did prosecutor's course, that you have an obligation to present all the evidence. The evidence that is considered favorable to the prosecution, as well as the evidence that might be considered a little unfavorable. They didn't do that. And therefore, I want to ask if that is not prosecutorial misconduct. Anyhow, the matter went on, and then what happened is that at the close of the prosecutor's course, they called 4 witnesses. At the end, they failed to call others. At the end of that process, my lawyers made a no-case submission. In other words, the lawyer said that in regards to the evidence that is presented, I should not be called upon to lead a defense because they had not made out a case. Now, yesterday, the magistrate ruled that a case has been made out and I have to lead a defense. Now, the police, well, before I go, let me say this. I want you all to see how these people are unprofessional. The same Mandel Moore, the Dunson Scotty Ikin, the Police Corporate Communication Unit here. A matter of this nature is held in camera, meaning no outside, apart from those who are actually involved. Like the witness, the complainant. When it gets beyond that, the magistrate, the staff of the court, and the lawyers, nobody else. Yesterday, as the magistrate was beginning to undo the decision, she observed someone sitting in the court. And the magistrate said, who is that person? The orderly went, and the orderly spoke to the person left. In other words, in camera, nobody can be there. When the matter was finished and the magistrate gave her reasons for calling for no case submission, right? I had a discussion with the lawyers after, and I told people, I say, hey, what's going to happen, I'll tell you about this crystal ball, I say, hey, what's going to happen? I said, Mandel Moore, the prosecutor, is going to tell the police, report to the police what happened, right? And notwithstanding the fact that this matter is held in camera and so on, they're going to issue a release with my picture and all sort of thing. I said, man, they all listen to me now, man. They are going to issue a release. And they're true to form, less than about an hour or so after, they'll issue a release. And here what they say, court calls on Paul Slow to lead a defense in relation to sexual assault matters. That's the headline. Then it goes on, today, Senior Magistrate Fabio Azor at the Georgetown Magistrate Court overruled the no-case submission made by Paul Slow's attorneys at law, and called on him to lead a defense in relation to the offense of sexual assault, contrary to Section 4.3 of the Sexual Offences Act, Chapter 803, that he was charged with on the 15th day of October 2021. Right? That date rang too. The magistrate based a ruling on the fact that the prosecution had established that the evidence is sufficient case against Paul Slow. The matter was adjourned to October the 25th for Paul Slow to lead his defense. The charges stem from a report made by a female officer that on 3 occasions in March and April 2019, at police headquarters, Slow sexually assaulted her. Senior police legal advisor, attorney at law Mandel Moore, appeared on behalf of the prosecution, whilst Nigel Hughes, Dexter Todd, Dan Kush appeared on behalf of Paul Slow. Now, it also, and although also the records will show that I'm also, at least in the first appearance, Selwyn Peters was there too. But they are concerned with details and facts, right? They are concerned. So here they say the police headquarters sexually assaulted her. And after the release, you look at the comment, people who are not fully aware of what's going on, rape, nothing to do with rape. Nothing to do with rape. I'm going to talk about that. The allegation is that on 3 occasions in 2019, the exact dates being the 26th of March, the 29th of March, and the 2nd of April 2019, that I placed my hands on her leg. 3 separate days, 3 separate occasions. That is what the allegation is. Can't go into more details. I ain't going to try to be in contempt of the court. But the fact that they gave this release, I believe I have a right to say what I have said there just now. If they want to say that I violate some law and charge me, go ahead. Go ahead. Right? Go ahead. So they put out the release. But not only that, you know, I just have a laugh. I got a very good friend that said when I laugh, I just laugh like Bundari. I don't know if you all know who Bundari is. Right? Now, they put out the picture. Look, they put a picture which I believe they're trying to show me in an unflattering light. This is the picture they put up. The police, you know, police released this picture. But that is me. That is me. Good-looking black man. That is me. And then if you hear the comment from them jagabats and thing, how he's staring. This picture I recall was taken, I think it was around 2017 when I was handing over, I think was some report and thing to President Granger. Right? This report was taken. So they keep it. Because, I mean, it's not the most flattering, even though I said picture. But that is the one that was pitched. Right? So they're showing me, this is the picture they show. But here, let me tell you something. I have said it repeatedly. When I see these things, I ain't got no shame, you know. For in this matter, I like PPP. I have absolutely no shame. I have absolutely no shame. And let me tell you all further, right? Because some people know. So I am called upon to lead a defense, which I will do, a very robust defense. I have witnesses that I will call to as part of my defense. And when the time comes, the magistrate can read me my statutory rights. The magistrate can read me my statutory rights. In case you all know what that is, the magistrate will tell you that you have a right to remain silent. You can make a statement, or you can give sworn testimony on your own behalf. So my statutory rights will be read to me. And let me tell you, of the 3, I know the right to remain silent. Well, I have to consult with my lawyers. Let me tell you how I play. I got to consult and go by their guidance and advice. But I could tell you, the option to remain silent, I ain't going there. Right? They will tell me, they will advise me whether I should make a statement or whether I should give sworn testimony. I know what I will advise them that I want to do, right? I know what I will advise them. Because, again, teaching police, I'll tell you all notebook. I was taught that if you are called upon after the statute, first of all, if you remain silent, the magistrate or the court cannot infer from your silence that you're guilty. So let me understand how the system works. I'm teaching them. You remain silent. If your statutory right is read to you and you're called upon for the defense, you can remain silent. And the magistrate or the judge or whoever cannot infer or cannot say, well, you had a chance to say something, you just said something, so you must be guilty. They can't do that. By law, they can't do that. Then you can make a statement. In other words, you say, I'm making a statement. You talk your story, all what happened and all of that. When you've done that, if you talk your story, if you make a statement, nobody can ask you anything. The magistrate can't ask you anything. The prosecutor can't ask you anything. You just make a statement, right? Now, if you make a statement, my teaching is that the magistrate may consider your statement. May consider your statement. The third option is that you give sworn testimony, in which case, once you go, you pick up whatever holy book, and well, not only sworn, but you can make an affirmation as well. And you got to know the difference between swearing and affirming. When you swear, you're swearing to some deity, either some God, that look, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Whether you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, whether you're Hindu, whatever it is, you swear. Or if you don't believe, like many of those people that we're talking about, you can make an affirmation. You affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And they say in affirming, then you don't have to make reference to any deity. You don't make reference to God or nothing. But they have the same impact. Whether you swear or whether you affirm, is the same thing. So if it comes to perjury and so on, can't say I didn't swear. You affirm, you can still get licked up for that. So let me explain this part to you. Now, the other part that I need to tell you about that once you give sworn testimony, my teaching is that the magistrate or the judge must take what you say into consideration. Remember, you make a statement, they may take what you say into consideration, but once you give sworn testimony, they must take what you say into consideration. Some teaching. I know a lot of the police and so on. I know these things, but I got to come. Me no liar. I no liar. I ain't thief no law books, but I had good, solid grounding, solid training. I had solid training, and I did prosecutor's course way back in 1980. One of the first men in them days out of TSU as a sergeant did prosecutor's course because I had a yearning to learn, right? So all them course I used to go on. And let me tell you this with courses. Once I was a drill and firearm instructor. So I knew about the courses they train in school. So even when I wasn't selected to go on a course, you ain't got nothing to do in the afternoon or especially the evening courses, I will just go there and sit down. I will go and sit down and learn, listen and learn. That is what I used to do. So a lot of the knowledge that I've acquired is through that process. And so I'm saying this to tell you that despite what I said, this overruling of the no case submission and calling for defense is a stage in the process. But some of them believe they're operating as if slow guilty of something. I'm guilty of nothing. Absolutely nothing. And no court has held me guilty of anything. The process. And here, what they failed to mention here, this is how they're dishonest. The magistrate, in our explanation, made it clear that the law, the same law, the court, section 4.3 of the Sexual Offences Act 803, says, and we have been saying that all along, that once a complaint is made, there is no requirement for it to be corroborated. So let me understand. A complaint is made against you and you're charged under this Sexual Offences Act. Draconian as it is, people have said so. The complainant ain't got to get no supporting, no corroboration. The statement is made, and based on that, and the magistrate explained that. The magistrate called section 60, I think it is, of the act, which says there's no corroboration, and therefore, basically what is being said that if you want to discredit the witness or the complainant, you have to do so when you make your defense. You have to do so when you make your defense, and I intend to do just that. And before I bring in CC, allow me, because I had to make a note, you know. So the law, this law what we're talking about, say that there's no need for corroboration. Sexual offenses that. Tell me then, why wasn't Dharam Lal charged? The young lady gave a statement that he sexually assaulted her. They had supporting evidence. Well, not sexually assaulted, he raped her. We got to make a distinction between rape and sexual assault. They should say that he raped and he bugged her. That is what was there. So how he was not charged? The DPP dance, send him back, and then the DPP is alleged to have said that the victim, a 16-year-old victim girl, Kachi was 16 at the time, I think, said it was in our best interest not to continue the matter. That is what they said. So Dharam Lal was in charge, the matter dropped. Even though, as we were saying the last year, there's no need for corroboration, they're sending the file. I am saying, as I said then, from time the file went to the DPP with a statement from that little girl, that alone was sufficient evidence under this law for him to be charged. But no, then we had a second report of rape against Dharam Lal. Remember that? Second report. The one, as far as we know, never even reached the DPP. Mandel Moore, the same Mandel Moore, said, or is alleged to have said, that the allegation is not credible. And the law, the same law where the thing is clear. Once an allegation is made under this act, the police have 3 months within which to institute a charge. And if they do not institute the charge within 3 months, the file must go to the DPP for the DPP to pronounce on it. This trial, as far as we know, never went to the DPP. Mandel Moore usurped the function of the DPP and said, no credible evidence, so don't charge. These people could see God's face. These people could see God's face. They got a senior police officer who is now an assistant commissioner. He's alleged to have sexually assaulted a journalist. He was in charge of the narcotics branch. The journalist wanted some information to write some story. He said, come to my office. It is alleged that when she went to the office, she was sexually assaulted. Dancing. When I was the commissioner, I saw that file. They jump around. They were charged. Hey, they want cooperation. They want cooperation for those. The same man who is now promoted to an assistant commissioner is alleged, a policewoman alleged that he raped her. Policewoman alleged that he raped her. And what happened? Nothing happened. Say, man, in case you want to know who is the body, Lucifer. Lucifer is the person. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Let me tell you about some more before I bring in CC. I know you're anxious to get this piece of baton. He is the opposite to the West Indies team. No, they don't want to go and bat now. Wicked tumbling now, I don't want to go and bat. But CC is a brave soul. He wants to get some batting now. You get another senior man who recently shot at his man-in-law. He shoot at his man-in-law. Y'all, are you familiar with that term, man-in-law? If the old heads got know, you know, the man shoot at the man-in-law, bust rungs behind him, lick hand behind him, and nothing happened. Nothing. They didn't even report it. They may even report it. I understand that the man settled with the man-in-law that he shot at, right? And here is the story. I am advised. The senior man, there with the man's wife. The senior man, the senior police officer there with this man's wife. And they get some type of understanding. So the man know that he getting blow and he accept because like the cheese has come good. This night of the incident, it is alleged that the senior man go and see the woman hugging up her husband. Hey, this say it easy, you know. It is alleged that on the night in question, the senior police officer saw the woman hugging up her husband. And he became jealous and they had something he shoot at the man. Can you imagine that? You know the one is the Mardo one. I mean, you might be the finance minister, yes. Right? But you go see the one going to show one husband, and he became so enraged that he licked shot, and nothing can happen. They ain't even reporting it. And they want to tell you things. Look, another matter recently at Linden. Larry, can't remember his first name now. A PPP activist at Linden, Region 10. Take people money, defraud people money so they can give them house lot. Take people money. Eventually, the thing reported to court. It has been reported, alleged, that he failed to attend court on several occasions. We reported it there. Apparently, there was a ex parte trial, a trial behind the back. The magistrate sentenced him to 9 months in prison. Right? Police can't find him for execute the warrant and carry to jail. They can. Yeah, they will say Kevin Larima. They call his name because he's that big there. They can't find it simply. They have not made any release to say this PPP activist has been sentenced to 9 months in prison for fraud. But the court statement, court calls on Paul Slow to lead defense in sexual assault matter. A matter that was held in camera, they used to say. Matter that is held in camera. So nobody, no reporter, nobody. So who you think gave the police this information? Mandel Moore, the prosecutor, because certainly my lawyers did not and would not. And the details that they have, Mandel Moore is the man who go and give them the thing. And them as professionals. Let me tell you all this, man, before I bring in CC. I have said to y'all over and over, right, that y'all cannot intimidate me. Y'all can't shut me up. It's only Jah can do that. It's only the grave can set me and shut me up. And I know y'all continue to meet at a bar on the East Coast. I know the name of the bar. I know the location of the bar. The last meeting, the police officers were involved, where y'all threatening that Sloga either got to jail or we can make you into a crummy. In other words, they're planning for more than me. You think that can frighten me? You think that is going to cause me to be afraid? No, I'm not going to be afraid because I know as a mortal man, you have to die. And the being that decides that is God Almighty, not y'all. God will decide when is the time for Slow to die. Right? So let me understand this thing clearly. And let me tell you all before bringing CC. You must read Psalms 35. Psalms 30, verse 5. They say, weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. Let me repeat that. Psalms 35. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. So, yeah, sit back. I'm going to keep you all updated. And let me tell you all, they were jumping around. You know, that I have never, ever shied away from telling you all what's going on. You do nothing, you fear nothing. Bring it there. There's a process you got to go through. Yeah, the process is long and drawn out. The charge, they say May the 19th, 2021. I appeared in court for the first time in October 2021. But the date of the charge is May the 19th, 2021. The incidents are alleged to have taken place on the 26th and 29th of March, on the 2nd of April, 2019. So y'all count how long this thing running. I ain't gonna be afraid. I told y'all again that death is one of the things that people just unreasonable about it. You have to die. You have to die. So why is it people are afraid to die? When you know that you have to die. And Psalm 35 is appropriate. Weeping may endure for the night. They're celebrating, oh God, Slow thing. They're giving the impression that Slow found guilty of something. Because some of them dunce. They can't read and comprehend. They don't have comprehension, including them saying one at police headquarters say, no comprehension. But you know, in terms of the corporate communication unit, they have been trained for propaganda. So it's just propaganda they're pushing out. So I thought I'll come and I'll tell you all what it is. But this is not done as you like. Not done as you like. They're trying to intimidate me. I tell you all, me old man, Paul Obituaries Slow. Never raised me to be a coward. Never raised me to be a coward. Me no coward. And again, I say, The people fear death, people fear lockup. I'm not going to break the law. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm a police officer for 37 years. Stellar performance, 2 national awards. Let me remind them, 2 national awards. The Distinguished Discipline Service Medal in 1998. Janet Jagan was the president when I got that. And then I think it was 2020 or thereabout, right? CCH, Kasi Crown of Honor, David Granger. So 2 different presidents, 2 different parties. I get national award. And they come in to try to drag me through the mud. They are not going to succeed. I will not allow them to succeed. I will not allow them to succeed. Let me bring in CC. CC a bat lang, I know. And are you anxious to come and bat? Even though we're still stumbling, 61 for 6, you want to come to the rescue. Go ahead, my brother.
Well, I wouldn't bat as a West Indian batsman, boy. Even though I'm a communal as a little tail ender, but I'm going bat. Now, I've been following your case very closely, although it has been held in camera. But there's something on the face of it, face surface, which I will talk about. And also, I will go through the procedure because the slant that they're giving it, they want to say that Paul Slow is guilty and Paul Slow commit some serious sexual offense. And on the face of it is that in 2019, a female police made allegation that you, Paul Slow, rubbed our legs on 3 occasions whilst that's me, you, retired Assistant Commissioner Whitaker, retired Senior Superintendent Fraser, Superintendent Gilbert, were reviewing the police standing orders and order that they said that we didn't review. Where the charges were, and more about that later on. There's the allegation that we got, and the allegation was made in 2021. It said the offense committed in 2019 and 2021 you were charged. It's still going on. Now, let me talk about the court procedure. As a prosecutor who was well trained by Ian Chang and others, and who train prosecutors. Here is the procedure. And for those youngsters who will be listening, here is the procedure. That when a person pleads not guilty to an offense, pleads not guilty to offense, it is for the prosecution to bring his witnesses to prove his or her case. Call witnesses, they come and testify, and they have to testify what they have personally perceived with one or more of their senses. Although there are rules in terms of the laws of evidence, what evidence is admissible, what is inadmissible, the magistrate will rule based on the law. Now the witnesses come, when a witness come and they give evidence, and sometimes they might tender documentary evidence, or they might tender objects like maybe a gun, a knife, or some kind of thing. And as a witness come, the opposite party or the defense has the opportunity to cross-examine them. And the real object of cross-examination is to destroy what the person said there, or to adduce evidence that is favorable to the prosecution. The prosecution will bring all the witnesses and say, hey, I don't have any other witness to call. This is my case. I have no witness to call. I have no evidence, no exhibit to tender. In some cases, especially cases that might go over to the High Court, the prosecutor might say, look, I have some other witnesses here available, but I'm not going to call them. But in case the matter is thrown over to the High Court, I will call and I will list them. And if also the prosecutor has witnesses, they remember they have declaration of statements, they will say, I have some witnesses here, but I'm going to call them, but I'm going to make them available to the prosecution. If the prosecutor wants them, I make them available. So they come and they bring all the witnesses and say, that is the case. At this stage, the magistrate will ask the defense, do you wish to make any no case submission? The defense will say, yes, there is no case for my client to answer because of X, Y, or Z, or because of X. In a case of rape, they might say, hey, this is a case of rape, and then one of the main ingredients is that penetration, and there's no evidence to show that, there was penetration. Hence, the matter should go overboard. Or a person charged with burglary, which we say in bed, intent, nighttime breakage, entry their house, and there's no evidence to show that this offense was committed in the dwelling house, or the offense was committed during the night. Therefore, the case should go down the drain. When the defense makes the no case submission, the prosecution will respond. And at the end of it, the magistrate will rule. If the magistrate overrules the no case submission, the magistrate will call for what we could call for a defense. And the magistrate must what we call the statutory caution. Tell the defense, look, you can stay there and remain silent. You can give evidence upon oath where be subject to cross-examination. You could give evidence without oath where nobody could cross-examine you. Which one do you prefer? And also, if the defense is going to testify, the accused is going to testify, it must be the accused got to testify first, followed by the witnesses. And as the witnesses come, they go through examination, chief. They go through cross-examination, and I go through, what should I mention also, you have re-examination, where your re-examination is based on what play out in cross-examination that you have an opportunity. You the person who presented your case, and certain things were said on the cross-examination, you'll have an opportunity to challenge that. So the prosecution, the defense, submit the defense, and at the end of it, you say, well, this is my defense. The magistrate will say, look, do you wish to address me? And here's where the defense will address the magistrate, saying why the case must go down the drain in simple terms. And after the defense has done so, the prosecution will have an opportunity to address the magistrate based on the evidence and so what took place at the trial, saying why the person should be convicted. So calling for a defense is not the end of the case, and it's not that the person is guilty. Remember when they charged Nanlal for thieving law books? Somebody say he didn't read them. Allegation was he thief the law books. Those were the allegations. I repeat, the allegations that he stole law books. He made no case submission, his lawyer, and the magistrate overruled the no case submission and called for a defense. And he run to the court, the high court, and he run to the appeal court, and the throat his matter. And lo and behold, government change, and the politically inclined, the politically controlled DPP, null pros. She didn't have no evidence against him, and the case go down the drain. So the fact is that they have to slant the matter. They want to give the impression that Parslow is guilty, and Parslow committed a very serious sexual offense. The report is, on the face of it, that he robbed a female officer's leg on 3 occasions, whilst we, the members of the reviewing team who are reviewing this standing order, were there. That is the investigation. That is what the allegation is all about. I don't know what played out at the trial. As we say, it is in camera. But it's interesting, and I'm sure Paul going to have a vigorous defense in relation to this matter. Because I know for sure that he is not guilty, and he's going to prove his innocence. That's what I want to say.
Thank you. Now, let me move on. As I said, and the only reason that I felt compelled to come and bring it, because this release that they give. Had they not given a release, I would just come and say, well, look, the matter called, and this is what it is. But I give big release, man, big release, as I had anticipated. Y'all think I'm a woman? Me, I'm a woman, man. I just can read these people. I'm talking about reading these people. I told you all repeatedly over the past week or so that they are going to do everything to put spokes in Team Mohammed's way. everything they will do to stop Mohammed from contesting this upcoming election. Everything they are going to do. And therefore today, about 2 hours ago, not they think out at 10 minutes to 3, it came out to say, GCOM refuses Jaguar as Azudin Mohammed party symbol for elections. What did I tell you guys? Look, I can start expelling students from this class, you know. Student going to tell me now, 73 for 7, I can expel you. I can put them to stand up and face the wall. I can expel. That's the obvious media to us. I tell you all, the match can done. The stage can't make no 300 runs in the 40 days in how the game they going. With all the bad luck and all the drop catches and all the umpiring, faulty umpiring, can't make it. Now let me tell you this here. I told you all repeatedly over the past week or so that GCOM and the PPP, because sometimes they're inseparable, will do everything to prevent Mohammed from contesting this election. Right? I tell you, I said he got to cross his T's and dot his I's. Did I not say that, student? Well, all right. So today now, today Friday, the 27th day of June, at about 10 minutes to 3, it was reported at that time that the Ghanaian Election Commissions on Friday decided to block Azudin Mohammed's We Invest in National, that is the thing, WIN, We Invest in National political party from using the Jaguar as the symbol on the ballot paper to contest the September 1 general and regional election. That is what is being reported. They get more details there and so on. I saw something when I got to read it because Azudin Mohammed team saying that is not a jaguar. They say it is some other animal. I don't know if it's a jaguar. I don't know if it's a leopard. I don't know if it's a tiger. I really can't recognize them. I recognize snakes. And when I look at the PVP, I see all kind of snakes. Labaria, Bushmaster, Carpet, all sort of snake they have there. Snakes crawling. Snake walking on 2 legs. Get all sort of snake. So I don't know about the party symbol for WIN, T. Mohammed, whether it's a jaguar, whether it's whatever animal they want to think. But I know that when I look at the cup, PVP cup, I see all sort of snakes. All sort of snakes. I see. Labaria. And only snakes. That party, they get all sort of vultures too. Carrion crow. The correct thing is carrion crow. Vulture. When it's a carrion crow, they get them there in the party. And you know, let me tell you all this. For if you travel on the East Coast back in the day, the place where you're going to see enough carrion crows, enough, is Micah. When before the new road where you go through the enough turn, you used to see enough carrion crow there. Micah. Who come from Micah? Look, we see who come from Micah. Carrion crow. Is that this what I get? The snakes, carrion crows, jagabats, church crapo, all of them there in the place there. I told you all, that is how they do. Jack Diogan tell you that, look, Mohammed is not a challenge to them. They have no fear of Mohammed and that, but they're doing everything, and they end on there, you know. Let me warn y'all, they end on there. They are not finished there. You see, let me move straight into that now. They have not finished, right? They have shown a renewed interest in the paper shards murder. Ricardo Fagundes, paper shards, shot and killed outside the Palm Court. Palm Court, in case you all know, is in Main Street, Georgetown, one of the prominent watering holes, right? A stone's throw from where the president lived, the official residence state house of the president. A little further from there is the prime minister's official residence. When this incident occurred, this murder occurred, they said cameras weren't working, and they said no camera working, so they can't know is who killed this man. Right? They reached the stall. They ain't getting no place with the investigation because they can't find out. They recover how much empty shells. They claim they recover what the thing, the assault rifle, right? AK-47 rounds and all this. Everything I had to tell them, I told them there's not like an AK-47 rounds, because you're saying AK-47 rounds, you're saying that it's only AK-47 shoots that type of round, and that's not so, right? So I told them all of that. They found some 9mm shells as well. They make all sorts of statements. They couldn't find who committed the murder. All the cameras weren't working. Later on, they found the car burnt at Swan and the Linden Suzaik Highway. And they claim that that might have been the car used with the getaway drivers. And they claim the car was burnt, and they claim that the chassis number was removed. I said it's nonsense. They remove chassis number. They got technology. Don't care, you sand them. You got to sand and sand and sand deep to remove the chassis number, right? But they didn't want, they had no interest in the paper shards more than none whatsoever. Then what happened? Sergeant Bascom, police sergeant, came out with a bombshell allegation. Bombshell. At night, they claimed that he was, they raided some drug place, and they found the police sergeant at this place. And they put in the lockups and all of that. He alleged that the thing came from senior people to put in the lockup, even though they knew that he was just passing through. The man is some paraplegic or something like that, passing through. Right? They put in the lockup, and he then shortly after made a statement that went viral on social media. And he alleged, listen to this carefully, student, he alleged that Azzuddin Mohammed paid Michel Caesar, superintendent, the man in charge of the major crime unit of the Ghana Police Force, $30 million Ghana dollars to cover up the paper shards murder. That was the allegation made. Now, even when that allegation was made, they showed no interest in, they never held Mohammed as a suspect. Another name was called as probably in the shooter. They never held the man to question. They had one man as a suspect before this allegation was made by Bascom. They had one man, right? Rondell Bacchus. And I have a tape. I can play. Yeah, I get time. I want y'all to understand this thing. This is what Rondell Bacchus was arrested. First of all, they put out a wanted bulletin for Rondell Bacchus, claiming that he was the paper shards killer. Wanted bulletin they put out for you. No other suspect they had. Mark Richmond, later on, name come. They never ever went after Azzuddin Mohammed. They never went after Mark Richmond at that time. Never ever. Right? Now, listen to Rondell Bacchus' story here. Listen to it.
Give your name and your age for the record.
Rondell Edward Bacchus, age 40.
40.
Yeah.
Rondell, you were arrested for the murder of Ricardo Fagundes, called paper shards. There's several things being peddled in the public domain, that you're a hitman, you were the person seen on the video. Tell me, from the moment police issued that wanted bulletin for you and to the point where you turned yourself in at CID.
Travis, a bulletin issue for me, and I decided to turn myself in because I heard a bulletin issue for me, and I decided to turn myself in, right? Because I go there to clear my name. I have no knowledge about what the police is talking about. I have no knowledge about this crime. I don't even know paper shards. I never even meet with this individual. I don't know what this individual look like. We never meet, we never had no talking, nothing. So I go there to clear my name. They ask me my wares about, I tell them my wares about.
At the time of the murder?
Yes, at the time of the murder. At the time of the murder, I was in Waterloo Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They know my wares about, collaborate with what witness tell them that I was there. Over and over, witness tell them that I was there. I was nowhere wrong Palm Court. Nowhere wrong there. I have no knowledge about this crime. This thing become a stain on my life. Like,
Also,
for instance, yesterday I was in the barber shop and I just sit down cutting my hair in the chair. And people would left what they're doing and come to the glass window and peep in like I become a public spectacle or something.
but why would the police want you and not anybody else for the murder?
Travis, I don't have no knowledge. I don't have no knowledge, Travis, how this thing linked to me. Travis, I don't have no knowledge how this thing linked to me. Travis, I is 40 years of age. I can't run. I look like the fat man who got the big gun in the hand. I can't run.
Can you drive?
I can't drive, Travis. I can't run. I struggle with a knee problem in me two knee. Me knees is hurt me all the ligaments and me knee tear.
What I want to know, when you went to CID, did they show you the video?
They never show me no video. They just put forward an allegation to me.
That what?
That you know why you're here? I say I wanted bulletin issue for me. You ever talk to anybody? I said talk to who? I now come for talk to you. I now come for know why a bulletin issue for me. And they start telling me that a bulletin issue for me because a man dead by Palm Court. I say I have nothing to do with that. I don't even know the individual. I explained to them what my wares about, where I went and what I did and who I went wrong. They get on to these people. These people tell them that I was there. I buy things and I sit down and eat right there.
You think the police who arrested you know that you're innocent?
Travis, they know that this is not me, but they're just looking for put this thing on somebody. I told them that this is a rotten rope. I got size it and bust with me. I can't take it.
Did they mention anything to you about a burnt out car that they found in the living
They never tell me nothing about that. All they're questioning is my wares about.
Did they take you back to any crime scene, anything like that?
They never do nothing like that. Just my wares about and who I talk to. Then they ask me if I do this crime, if I would have done it myself. I tell them no. I would have run in helter skelter. You issue a bulletin for me and in less than half of an hour I done that evil area already. Cause I want to know is what really going on. Will you issue a bulletin for me for you know what part I is there? You drive every day and see me. Never say you know what part I is there. You know why is there. Sit down. If mean that you Waterloo Street, I dep on Wellington Street.
I understand now. You pleaded guilty years ago to the
lesser count, yeah.
Right. And I understand now that you're a totally changed person.
Travis, I plead guilty to the lesser count of manslaughter for the crime because I do that. I did that. I was young and I was foolish at the time. I become a big man now, Travis. Me neighbor they running around the streets and police are running behind me and harassing me and them thing. I can't live like that no more.
So
I don't.
Prison has changed?
Yeah, I don't even have a friend that is thief. I don't want thief, my friend. From you doing crime, I don't want you be around me. And I don't want to be around you.
Folks, I think you get the gist of the thing there. There's more. Maybe in another program we're going to play out the rest. But I play that to tell you that at the time when this murder took place, Paper Shots, Ricardo Fagundes called Paper Shots, the only person that they showed an interest in was the same guy, Rondell Bacchus. They issued a wanted bulletin for him, and he turned himself in. I understand that when he turned himself in company with the same sergeant. He called Bascom and told Bascom, say, all right, then they went in. Right? That is what happened. Now, following the allegation by Bascom that Asudin Mohammed paid Michelle Caesar, Superintendent Michelle Caesar, police superintendent. He's there now as the senior superintendent. I know if he's still in charge of the major crimes unit, but he's still there. The allegation was that Caesar received $30 million from Mohammed to cover up this murder. Right? They never said, as far as I know, that Mohammed killed Paper Charles, but they say he had some involvement. They are suggesting that maybe he would have been the intellectual author. We want to understand this thing clearly, right? Bascom has already had said too that Mark Richmond, a man who was employed with Asudin Mohammed, he was named as a suspect. They never issued no wanted bulletin for Mark Richmond. They never issued no wanted bulletin for or never went after Asudin Mohammed. Never. They never did so. As a matter of fact, let me tell you all further. When the allegation was made by Bascom, they went after Bascom viciously. Cybercrime charge. They even before he got to the cybercrime charge, Iken and Blanham called a big press conference. Y'all remember that press conference? They call a press conference, they say to debunk, that's the word they use, to debunk the allegation made by Sergeant Dion Bascom. And the thing backfired spectacularly, blew up in the face, because they was trying to say that Bascom was not, Bascom had said among other things that he took in this boy Bacchus. They said, no, that is not so. He never took it in. The man tongue and the liar took it in. The liar, I got to take and play the next time. The liar tell them, but the boy, the same guy who given the interview there to Travis Shea, said that was Bascom he went in there with. And he said the liar came there and met him. The liar came there and met him. So they're trying to portray Bascom as a liar, right? As a man lying. That no, he never took in this suspect. And the suspect on tape admitted that Bascom took him there. They claim that it's the man's lawyer took him in. The lawyer had said no, he went there and he met him. Right? He went there and he met Bacchus. Now, obviously, once that they went after Bascom in such a vicious manner, in that his life was threatened, his life was in peril, right? And hold on, let me pull up this thing for y'all, man. Let me pull it up. Hold on. The Bascom then had Mr. Nigel Hughes representing him. Mr. Nigel Hughes, attorney at law, wrote to the president, Irfan Ali, requesting that Bascom be provided with protection, because having made this serious allegation, his life might have been in danger. I remember very well at the time the president was leaving the country. And when he was asked, he said, well, he hadn't seen nothing yet. I guess up to now he hasn't seen nothing, because he never responded to that. And they never provided Bascom with any protection. What they did, they decided that they're going to charge him for cyber crimes. Because he called some names, he called Caesar name. So Caesar right statement, they charge him. He called one, the detective at Brickdam, Chabinat Singh name called, cybercrime. They get Cosbord, cybercrime. All them the charge. They went after Bascom viciously, cybercrime. Charge dismissed against him on the East Coast, on Georgetown. East Coast convicted, he had to go to the High Court, we get it overturned and all that. That is how. Interdiction. Interdiction. Still is interdicted, I understand. They never took him seriously on that allegation he made. Never investigated the matter at that stage. They brought in RASS, right? And RASS gave a report to say, oh, the police capable of doing a proper investigation. Basically, what Bascom says is not true lie. Still, they did not see Mohammed or anybody else as a suspect. The only suspect is Bacchus. Yes, see nobody as a suspect. But now that Mohammed has shown an interest in politics, you now remember that many, many years ago he bring in Lamborghini and he didn't pay the right money for duties. They remember that now. They also suddenly remember that, well, they don't remember. They decide now that they are going to try to intimidate. So what happened now? Paper charts. Murder coming back. A matter that has been dormant. And let me understand this thing clearly, because these dunderheads that you get. I am saying, as I've always said, whoever responsible for that and other crimes must face the music. One of the people, I'm not going to call name, they're in the mood this afternoon. My attorney, I know what I'm talking about, Selwyn Peters from Canada. Selwyn said that the intellectual authors should be held accountable. I agree fully. I agree. If you have a murder and people who are behind the murder, it's not only the trigger man. I said the same thing with Crummy Wing murder, because even though that's charged Grey Boy, the general feeling that Grey Boy, even if he had been the trigger man, that there was intellectual authors. I remember Karim was protesting in front of the attorney generals, in front of Nandala laughing. So actually in Carmichael Street for a long period, calling on him to resign. And then Karim moved from that location to Diamond on the East Bank, where he was assassinated. And therefore the call was, yeah, let me get the intellectual authors in that. They didn't know the term intellectual authors. And then we remember too that when Waddle was killed outside, going home by the seawall there, Waddle riddled with bullet. They had to have been intellectual authors. Nobody interested in them then. When that matter, when the Roger Khan matter was tried in the US, in New York, I think it was, evidence surfaced of the involvement with these people in Waddle's murder, of the complicity of a certain minister of government and others. Intellectual authors we're talking about here. And what happened? Nothing happened. Nothing. They didn't go after no intellectual author. That evidence, I think the point was made that there is no statute of limitation in a murder case, In other words, you can't say so many years past it done. If it's 100 years after, you get evidence, you can bring charge or charges. Even 100 years after. But they didn't know, they didn't interested in having the intellectual authors for those matters. Then we had the own government minister sat the saw and his family, I think she brother and sister and all them, the dog, the watchman, all them killed at Ogle, at LBI on the East Coast. They never even had a proper inquiry into the death of the old minister. Why? Because perhaps they knew who the intellectual authors were. Then they blame Feynman gang or something like that for it. Never an inquiry. And every year since then, the family members of Satsa would write at the anniversary of his death, would write and ask, because they said this thing is closed. It is not closed. So if you want to really do investigation, and I agree, let me understand this thing clearly. I agree fully with Selwyn that if they are intellectual authors, they must be, because the law is that. If you arrange it, it's not only the man who pulled the trigger, but who arranged the murder as well. They too are culpable. They too are culpable. Let me bring in Mr. Conway before I go any further. Cece, over to you, my brother. I know you want to have a say in this. Let me give you the opportunity.
All right. I'm going to say quite a number of things, I'm going to bat better than the West Indies batsmen. Now, I'm going to talk about the police investigation or lack of investigation. Now, they're saying that I traced some car down to Swan on the Linden Highway, which was burned up. I know they trace it. God, they had cameras all about the place. I know they use the cameras all about the place, which the security president said the cameras will replace boots on the ground. Here is it. They found a vehicle, a burnt up vehicle. And later on, I heard that they had FBI involvement in this matter. Now, it is easy to find the VIN number of a vehicle, using the right technology. And I go back to, I think, 1995. They had a guy named Timothy McVeigh. He and his partner, Terry Nichols. They use explosive. They use a Ryder truck with 4,800 pounds of explosive and blew up the Oklahoma City State Building. I think 168 persons died, 800 injured. Over 300 buildings were destroyed. This truck had 4,800 pounds of explosive. And you know what? The FBI were able to find the VIN, the vehicle identity number. Vehicle identity number. And each vehicle get VIN. And the VIN, if you check the VIN, the VIN will have the origin of the number, the manufacturer, the description, the security, the year it was produced, the factory, and the serial number. So I know there's people scratch out number. Here was an explosive that destroyed over 300 buildings, killed 168 persons, a vehicle packed with 4,800 pounds of explosive, and they find the VIN. You telling me the police here couldn't make some approach to the FBI or some other international investigative unit and be able to trace the VIN? Be able to trace the VIN? Now, let me go to the other part now, where Bascom spilled the beans. He went and he made a statement. And in order for them to listen to him, to listen to his side of the story, in order to find out what really was going on or what really went on, because he saw certain things on the computer. Later on, Branham said that the computer no exists no part in the world. Perhaps you know about Pegasus, Israeli computer. And there's it, that instead of them listening to Bascom, they also prosecute you. I mean, he's just no paragon of virtue, but he could be damn well telling the truth. But they jump to debunking Paul. You mentioned they jump to debunk him. They confirm squatter and the crime chief. Instead of listening to him, debunk him, and they backfire them. And when you're doing an investigation, or when you're a commander or you're a leader, you got to do what we call environmental scanning. You check and see what's happening in your environment, internal environment and external environment. And there are some parallels international parallels which I wish to bring to the attention of our students. In 1970, there was a man named Frank Sopico. He was a sergeant like Bascom, and he spilled the beans. He shook up the very foundation of the NYPD, shook it up in terms of corruption, in terms of incompetence. That in 1972, they formed what they called the NAPS Commission for Reaching, that revealed a whole set of corruption and incompetence in the NYPD, all because of Sopico, a sergeant that they listened to, him. And then down under in Australia,
They had a woman, a drug addict and a prostitute, Sherry Ann Octave, New South Wales Police. She brought down the New South Wales Police Department. And she was a prostitute. We in Ghana, we say a lady of the night. Or if you listen to Sparrow's song, he used to say, Wabin. Or he sang a song and he say, I don't care if you all be BG Bondong, they're going to put me in the place. If the only tackle tiger be Bondong, the place where I'm Wabin in the stay. Person could be of ill repute, but what they're telling you is the truth, and you got to listen. You got to listen. Sherry Ann Octave shook the very foundation of the New South Wales Police Department, and they glamour by, they poster by. Here's it. Another sergeant, Roger Stone, the super detective who had 13 awards. He was a criminal. He was a murderer. He was a drug pusher. And listening to the prostitute giving her evidence, he was convicted, sentenced to life imprisonment. He came out of prison horizontally. Well, he came out of prison a dead man. The point I'm making is that you've got to listen to people. The same Boston that has a quibble and he using a house rent free for a businessman. And later on, that same businessman donated 10 vehicles to the police and they accepted them. So we had a case where Boston gave information, but they also would debunk him. The debunk historian said, I listened to him. And I'll tell you something, that in terms of investigation, we don't do plenty listening, We do more talking, like what the squatter and the crime chief did. They talk. And if you look at the thing that is sometimes, if you look at how the body is constructed, the human body, we get 2 hands, we get 2 feet, we get 2 eyes, we get 2 ears, we get 2 nostrils, we get 1 tongue, and only 1 tongue. We get the teeth to protect the tongue, or the gums to protect the tongue. We get the lips to protect the tongue. It tells us we must do more listening when we do an investigation and less talking. Listen to what is being said. Peter Drucker said, the art of listening is to listen to what isn't being said, or we say, read through the line. They had a wonderful opportunity with Boston, but no, they're charged for cybercrime and all kind of thing there. Maybe they were protecting somebody. And I'm saying that if they check that vehicle, and maybe now it's not too late, they might able with export to find the VIN, the vehicle identity number, and the VIN has a lot of characteristics, and I might able to get somewhere. I am not holding any brief for anybody. I don't know who commit the offense, but if they do proper investigation, if they listen to people, listen to what Boston said. Paragon of watch, but listen to him. You might be able to solve the crime. And I agree that the intellectual authors and all who are involved should be brought to justice. And the time hasn't passed. It could very well happen. But they need to do more investigative work, and are saying, see if you could find the VIN. I know what they do with the vehicle, perhaps they must throw it overboard or something, but they lose a good opportunity to get in the VIN and then trace backwards, and they might very well find who was the driver of that vehicle.
Well said. When you talk about the prostitute in New South Wales, they're being able to tell them and bring down a whole department. In the case of Wascom, I'm reminded of old people say. They have a saying which says that if patois come from river bottom and tell you that Uri get fever, you have to believe him. Now let me explain that for those of you who are not familiar with the Creolese. Now patois is a sweetwater fish, so too is Uri. And what they're telling you, if patois, this sweetwater fish, comes from the bottom of the river and tells you that Uri, who also resides at the bottom of the river, has fever, you have to believe. because they told them the moral of the story is that both of them live there. So if the prostitute who they in the thing tell you what's going on, if Boston comes and tell you that's skullduggery, no, they didn't listen to you, they went after him. And you know, one of the ironies of this whole thing is that when they went after him, letters, pre-action letter on behalf of Mohammed, on behalf of Caesar, on behalf of the other man there, Richmond, the same lawyer wrote the letter to representing all three of those forces. Imagine the lawyer representing Mohammed, same lawyer representing Richmond, and the same lawyer representing the police officer. They wrote and they harassed Bascom. They harassed him, terrible harassment. I don't even know if the harassment finished. And Mr. Conway is correct, because they're transferring Tessikibo away from his family, more punishment. And he lived there with some businessman, provided some place for him. They claim, because the businessman was one of the rivals, perhaps still is, of the Mohammeds, that Bascom fabricated this story at the insistence of the businessman Tessikibo to get at him more. That's what they claim. But the same businessman, as Mr. Conway said, donated 10 motor vehicles to them, and they accepted it. They brought in Ross. Ross said, no, everything going good. At the time, police doing a proper investigation. And then, they had no other suspect but Bacchus, as we saw there, just Randall Bacchus. No other suspect. None. So much so, that even though Mark Richmond's name was called by Bascom, they had a robbery where some gold was stolen, right? And people searching for the gold. Gold was recovered. Now, even while they're searching for this gold, even while this allegation was made, well, even before the allegation made, the same Mark Richmond is alleged to have driven into police headquarters to carry a vehicle for the use for help searching this gold. And they showed no interest in him, none whatsoever. The only body they showed interest in was Rondell Bacchus. Only body. And let me see, last week it was, the Vice President, let me read this before we close off. For goodness, what the Vice President is reported to have said, Ricardo Fagundes murder, and the quote in it, I hope we find out the truth, Jack Dio says. Then it goes, the family of Ricardo Fagundes all this year, People's Progressive Party Civic PPP General Secretary and Guyana's Vice President, Bara Jack Dio, is hoping that the truth will come to light regarding the brutal murder of Ricardo Fagundes, also known as Paper Sharks. During a press conference at Freedom House on Thursday, this last Thursday, he said, quote, I hope we find out the truth. The president spoke of this some time ago, and he said that I think some new information have come to light. That's what they say, information have, well, they put in the sick, come to light. And I expect that they will do a professional job and explore this thoroughly and at the appropriate time finalize the investigation, end of quote. In April, President Irfan Ali had said that shocking developments in the border investigation of Fagundes will soon lead to further questioning by the police. President Ali disclosed that the investigation was being conducted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. Fagundes, 42, was riddled with bullets by two men outside Palm Court around 22 hours on March 21st, 2021. According to police, Fagundes was having drinks with a colleague in Palm Court when he received a call on his phone. Shortly after exiting Palm Court, the police said several loud explosions were heard, and Fagundes was later found lying in a pool of blood on the road. His body bore several gunshot wounds. An autopsy later showed that Fagundes was shot about 20 times about his body. President Ali said, quote, the FBI is doing the investigation. Some aspect is coming back. What I'm advised by the police, there be additional questioning that is required, and that is a process. End of quote. quote again, he mentioned that the investigation is being carried out by external, impartial sources, and even recommended that the police commissioner engage independent investigators, end of quote. Then he quote again, we brought in the RSS for independence. We sent an important piece of evidence to the FBI, the president said. 4 years have passed, and then I go on to tell you the time and so on. That is what the president, they say, that FBI investigating the paper shot for Gundes murder. And when he said here, you know, what he said, let me go back and say, he said, president said the FBI is doing it, the FBI, this is what the president is quoted as saying, you know, right? This is last week, the 20th, I think it would have been Kaicho News or one of the daily papers. Kaicho Stabro. The president, President Ali said, quote, the FBI is doing the investigation. Some aspects are coming back. What I'm advised by the police, there'll be additional questioning that is required, and that is the process. He mentioned that the investigation is being carried out by external, impartial sources, and even recommended that the police commissioner engage independent investigators. When Adriana Young parent and everybody called for independent investigators, including the FBI, what did the president do? Absolutely nothing. Even when the U.S. ambassador said, basically, that look, y'all just make the request. They don't make the request up to now. And they're coming, this is designed to intimidate Mohammed and them. Nothing else. Nothing else. Because if the FBI had been involved in this investigation, as I said, long ago, this would have been wrapped up. My information is, remember I told you the cameras weren't working? My information, they had some blurry image. We all saw that image of the shooting on the social media. It was there, black and white blurry. My information is that they might have sent that to see if it could have been enhanced to try to recognize and identify who the persons were. My information is that is the extent of the investigation. Because the FBI, you know, it is sad that they're banding the FBI name around and nobody has come to claim that is not so. Well, you know how diplomacy works? You know how diplomacy works? So they're dragging the FBI in an effort to intimidate people. If you want FBI come, why didn't FBI come to investigate the Adriana Young's murder? Why? Why y'all and bring FBI for them? Wasn't that important enough? Why y'all and bringing FBI for this?
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
So my relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims
as a landlord too, you get tenant. You get tenant, Sue's a tenant of mine. Right? Bring the FBI to investigate all of these things. That's what we talk about. Intellectual authors bring in the FBI, man. I agree. And let the chips fall where they may. Whoever involved, whether you are the trigger man, whether you are the intellectual authors, I agree. Bring them in. I know you bring them in. Let's do a sweeping investigation. All them corruption will going on in the place, all them gun license that is being sold. Let me do a proper investigation, man. Let me do a proper investigation. But all of a sudden, the FBI is investigating what? What are they investigating? And then the president, with this mendacious statement to tell you that, he mentioned the investigation is being carried out by external, impartial sources, and even recommended that the police commissioner engage independent investigation. Police commissioner can engage independent. The government has to engage independent. That's how we are bring that quack from Canada, Leonard McCushion, to say he reviewing or he assisting with the investigation of Adriana Young's murder. Bring people, proper people. Bring proper people to conduct these investigations. I get a little worked up because of the lies what these people tell. The lies that they tell. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for his closing remarks, and then I'm going to give you a wrap and a look forward. CC.
Well, like is the president doing the investigation and not the police, you know? Like is the government doing the investigation, not the police? The president and the president, nothing but the commissioner. But let me just run the division a little bit, you know. Something is definitely wrong with Parapet Harmony Police Station. I think a couple days ago, alleged that a policeman shot himself accidentally, admitted in the hospital in West Demorada. They say, and he's to do surgery. We didn't hear anything about it. And a lot of things happened at Parfait. We had a man dying in the lockups there. You hear nothing more about it. We had a police vehicle from Parfait Avenue chasing down somebody. The other vehicle hit down a man and kill him. We didn't hear nothing about it. We had a policeman rape a young girl in the lockups there, and quietly the charge the police. Something is wrong with Parapet Harmony Police Station. Too many issues going on there, and you have a commander there who's sworn to secrecy, like he's still in the special branch, that he's not talking to the public, he's not giving out any kind of information. If you want the public to interact with you, you have to give them information. You have to let them know what's going on. And then let me jump to Region 8 and close out for Region 8. Same thing. They said the commando, the deputy, then get into Monkey Mountain, then get into Orange Hook, then get into Kato, then get into Paramatakai, then they left button down in Roger Hines Hotel in Region 8 at Marjorie, and they're not doing. And apart from that, like what happened in Region 1, understand senior people there collecting money to go to Monkey Mountain, to go to Orange Hook, to go to Kato and other places, and the money is being utilized but no visit the police and seeing the people. So they need to look at that because there's corruption going on. Same thing in Region 1, where millions and millions and millions of dollars they send, where people doing bogus account at Moruko, Port Kaichumo, Matthews Ridge, Mabrumo, and other locations there. And the other departments started investigation and it gone down to nothing because they say the finance department is involved. So I'm saying, look at what's going on in Region 8. No visit to Monkey Mountain, no visit to Orange Hook, no visit to Kato, no visit to Paramatakai and other areas, but money is being collected to go on those visits and is being spent whilst the top people that they hold out in Roger Hines Hotel at Marjo.
Thank you, my brother. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. Folks, we have come to the end of today's program. I think we had a spirited discussion. Well, not discussion so much. We had a presentation on these issues. And some of these issues we have to revisit. Like the same renewed interest in the paper charts more than we have other things to show you. We have statements recently made by the United States Secretary of State as it relates to visa restrictions and sanctions. Those are things we're going to talk about. Those are things we will talk about. These things. Adriana Young, we mentioned her briefly, but we're going to come to it. Monday, most likely. Well, Monday is the next scheduled program. We had this disturbing issue of a man who works with the police at Sparna Police Station. It's now been alleged that this missing 13-year-old girl, E, is the person who had this girl at his residence. Allegation of sexual assault. We got all of these things to go into. We have a lot to tell you. But the 2 hours done quick because we have to talk about the cricket. I have to tell you about what transpired yesterday with these cases and some other issues. I think we had a good afternoon. I want to say to you, enjoy your weekend, the last weekend in June. So for those of you who want to get married, June is the month of bride. June is rapidly coming to a close. Perhaps it's not too late. You can make contact with the wedding planner and you're going to get organized. And the last thing I want to say to you, I see abusing today, right? I see abusing today. Melimel, abusing, calling a man, say, you get white mouth. I remember when we did say, Kira, you get Kira, we got to talk about it Monday when we come. We are going to speak about it. So until then, have a good weekend, stay safe, and we see you on Monday. God spare life. Until then, bye.